My name is Sheldon Collins, and I am the founder of Private Practice Solutions. It's also manufactured at an FDA-compliant factory in Las Vegas. And our company was founded in 2012, so over 10 years ago, and we work with aesthetic providers nationwide. We have consultants and trainers who represent our products nationwide, and aside from MediCO, we also sell a portfolio of energy-based devices, which may be viewed at our website, ppslasers.com. So thanks for joining today. And without any further ado, I'm going to introduce our keynote speaker, who is Gigi, who is a master trainer and also the owner of Pure Med Spas, which there's a location in California and Texas. And then she also has a training and consulting company called GMS Training Consulting. She is a clinician with over 20 years of experience. She is a master trainer on over 120 aesthetic devices. And she acts as our head clinical trainer for Private Practice Solutions as well. So we're very pleased to have her talking today and going through the demo. And without any further ado, I'm going to open it up so everybody can see Gigi. Thank you, Gigi.
Hello,
welcome.
Everyone. How are you? Welcome to the webinar. Nice of all of you to join us this evening. Pretty excited about this device. It's actually, CO2 is one of my favorites for the obvious reasons of it producing the best results in an aesthetic venue. The stats on this particular device, I think supersede, most of the ones. The fact that it has a metal excitable rod instead of a glass. So that cuts down on repair because the glass ones tend to break. So I've had this particular device for over 6 years. I have them in both my med spas. I've never had to deal with any of that or repair or have it taken out or had to have it serviced. It's been a workhorse for me. It also is a 30 watt on the active pulse, and on the ultra pulse, it's to 120 watts. It has a 2 hand cutting pieces. So if you're looking at blepharoplasties or hypertrophic scarring or mole removal, we have a 50 millimeter and 100 millimeter one that we can attach to the hand piece. It also has a 360 vaginal rejuvenation, which cuts on the cost of the 90-degree ones where they're disposable. This can be autoclaved. It's a 360. So actually it's more time efficient, and I believe that the result is a better result. As far as producing a result, I can go full-blown CO2 on this, and I can do a light one, like a 200 micron equivalent to like a Fractional, what have you. So you can, for your darker skin types, do a series of 3 or 4 to produce a result, because they can't have that impact of heat as we would someone who is a skin type 1 or 2. But Sheldon has some great pictures that he can flash to of befores and afters. And of course, their best results are going to be 3 months out to 6 months, given a skin cell cycle of 90 to 120 days. We can put fillers and Botox and all those things in people's faces all day long. But if their skin doesn't look good, it's kind of pointless. I think the icing on the cake for every aesthetic practice is to produce a result. And if their skin looks great and nice and youthful and dewy, then that's the biggest battle. That's the person that you will keep lifelong in your practice. So I have a lovely model here today, and we're going to get going on her. I'm going to show you a couple pulses and hopefully answer some questions for you where this would fit in your practice. Because I think every practice should have this because it's so versatile. So you can do all kinds of things with it, whether you're plastics, your med spa, your women's health. It has a spot for every practice. So I'm going to move on over here now. And as you see here, I can go up all the way to 20 millimeter spot size. Right here, I can also change the spot size. So if I want to do a circle, a triangle, a rectangle, fine line, any of that, I can do that. But I'm going to use the square here on Maves because that's the easiest one for me. Right here at the power, this is your watts, you know, that's how much power you're laying down. Mine says percentage of power, but I'll say watts. So you'll be able to tell which power you're right here. Your duration, this is your pulse duration, how long you're leaving the pulse on the skin. This right here is your density, your distance between the little dots, the fractionated pulse. And so we're going to go ahead, and for Maeve, I'm going to keep her on about a 30%, which means about 30% of what this device. Once you click on the icon, you can move up or down. So I'm going to go a little bit up on her pulse duration to 2.5, and her distance I'm going to keep a little bit tighter and go to 1. There we go. Now I'm ready to shoot here. And I'm going to take the numbing cream. Thing about having a CO2 is you have to get all of the numbing cream off, because as we know, CO2 goes after water in the cell. So if you're interrupted by having a little bit of that numbing cream still on, that oil base, it's going to affect the results. So we have to make sure that we've stripped them quite well. So you can see, if you see tight, those little air pulses, like those little dots.
We have a question here that would this be considered a moderate in terms of aggressive, moderate, or pretty benign? What level?
This one is moderate.
Right.
Yeah, just, you know, very, very moderate. Now, if I really wanted to get really aggressive, I would definitely be up a little bit higher. And you can do, you know, the numbing cream plus add like a bundle block. Bundle nerve block, and then you really want to get into doing under eye, really tight with the fine lines and both there and circummoral roentgens. I would definitely do the block and really turn it up because you get a beautiful result for areas that there's a little bit more of issue because of the flexion of the muscle.
The numbing you were using today, Gigi, was
I use a quad, a 23/7, and then I can do bundle blocks with it if necessary, if I'm really going to get aggressive. I also will do a bundle block and do stack these devices with our RF microneedling. We all know that combination therapy is the way to go. And so for me, I will take my RF microneedling, and then I will stack my CO2 on top of it. And then on top of that, I will actually do like a MediInject with some PRP or zones or what have you, to give the full, you know, full combination therapy. And those results are absolutely amazing.
Yeah, and for anybody who's not familiar with the MediInject, it's our automated injector, and you can go to theinject.com, and there's a webinar that we did last month that Gigi did, and you can get a lot more insight on what that device does.
Yeah, and we're going to do some more on the MediInject too, using different things like hyperdiluted HAs with Carlinium, some of their representatives, and I'll do some with some biostimulators and biologics that amazing results and amazing heal time. So you can see, if we pan in close right here, see those little looks like a little dot matrix.
Oh yeah.
That's basically what we're looking for. And those little holes there, like little lawn aerators, it's kind of a ventilation system so that Maeve's heal time will be a little bit better. Yeah, and it's relatively quick. I mean, we're already done with half the face, and it's minutes. So I'm gonna take these off here, and we'll go in here for some question and answer period.
Yeah, one of the questions that was just shot to me is, what is the average treatment time for full face and neck that you allot in your clinic?
So that just took me 4 minutes. So there you go. So it's about a half an hour for the numbing cream. And then from there, and unless you're doing a bundle block or you're stacking it. but I usually give them a full hour, hour and 15 minutes from start to finish.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So that's about how long it takes, which, half the time while they're numbing, I'm in a room shooting a quick Botox or two, and then I can come back. So it's not like you're locked up in the room the whole time for the hour and 20, or 15 minutes. You're doing other things, and then you'll come back, and when they're ready, that's when you start.
And would you say this time of year is when you're using this device the most? Winter, basically?
Yeah, it gets the most mileage this time of year because fall and winter are the perfect time, because it's usually cold and there's not as much sun. So that's the time. My California office, I do them year round, but of course, in summer it's not as busy, but during the rest of the year we are quite busy with this device, and we do a lot of stacking. I almost, rarely do I even, not do a combo therapy with the RF microneedling in this, because I just like the effect. So it produces like an amazing result. So I tend to use them congruently quite a bit.
Yeah, and that will be the next device that we're doing next month is a microneedling RF. So we'll get a chance to kind of visit that device as well. So you do a lot of combination therapy with either the microneedling RF or all three, microneedling RF, inject, and the CO2. Is there any type of incentives that you offer for packaging all three devices, or?
I do. I give them a use discount. So if we're using all three of those, I'm gonna give them a better deal as far as a package, so that they stay on the program. And then I have them come in 2 weeks later because they're a little, usually a little bit dry, and then I might do a hyperdiluted HA to restore some of the moisture, during the healing process. So I kind of, put them on a little program, and we price it out that way the best that we can, so that they benefit and we do as well. But it's, there's no disposable on this, so the ROI is amazing.
Right. So we're going to get that into that. We're going to get into pricing and ROI right now. But before we do, if anybody has any clinical questions, and we can always, if you're kind of thinking about them still, we can always come back to them. There's one right here, is how would you say that this compares to other CO2s that you've trained on in the past?
Okay, so I will tell you this. I'm certified on quite a few. And I will tell you, I trained for one company. It was my favorite. And when I met Sheldon, no one could tell me that the other companies was not the best, because I was diehard for that particular device, and I was their specialist for it. When I was flown out to look at this device, I was pleasantly surprised, and I noticed that my heal time was a little faster. And so there was also another gentleman out in Asher Milgram, who's a PhD, who also, test runs, and multiple laser companies use him as advisory. And we were kind of having a play date, if you will. And I said, my heal time is better on this than the other. And I didn't want to have to say that, but it was the truth. And so he got down to the nitty gritty and said, this is almost, and it may not have been intentional, but it is, one of the most efficient thermal coagulation zones, the diameter of it, for the healing process. But, the efficacy was just as good, if not better, than the rest of the ones I was using. And so for the cost, the warranty, and the result, I had to, eat my words. And now I own a couple of these. So that answers your question, I hope.
That's right. Okay, great, Gigi. Well, while we're going to switch over now to the PowerPoint, and we'll go over a little bit of the pricing. CO2s is pretty simple. I mean, as Gigi just said, she does anywhere between 15 to 20 of these at her clinics a month, which is a pretty high number. We don't expect everybody to do that, but if you're doing 20 a month, and her average patient cost is $2,000 per patient that she would charge on a face and neck, then it's generating about $40,000 in revenue a month. So you can see how quickly the ROI pays for itself. This is a type of device that even if you conservatively are just doing once a month, you're breaking even And
Right.
everybody
If
that's
you're
on
doing
this
women's
webinar,
health, Sheldon, if you're doing
yeah,
women's health, I won't do it on them unless they're doing 3 treatments, because that's the most effective way for the vaginal rejuvenation. It is $1,500 a treatment. That treatment, there's no numbing, there's no nothing involved because there's no pain receptors in the vaginal canal. It takes me less than 5 minutes, and I do them spread out 4 weeks apart. And so if you're adding that, what Sheldon's telling you is just what I do in faces. That's not including my vaginal rejuvenation. So I add about 4 or 5 of those on a month, and it's considerably more.
thanks for sharing that. And let me just get back to the screen here. So today we're offering a $20,000 discount off of what our list pricing is for the MediCO. So it's $65,000 plus shipping, tax, and training. And so if you're financing that, you're going to be around $1,350, plus shipping, tax, and training. So less than $2,000 a month. So basically, break even is just pulling off one treatment a month.
Right.
And anything else that you might do for women's health is gravy on top of that. Please get in touch with anybody who invited you on this call. We have a lot of reps. And some of you might have received an invitation from one of our reps or dealers directly. If you can't get in touch with them, or you don't know how you got an invite on this call, you can always go to ppslasers.com. You can always go to thegggshop.com, and we'd be happy to take care of you and make sure that you're connected with the right person in your area. So we want to thank you for joining us today. Really appreciate it. And if anybody has any questions, we're here to help. So please reach out to us. And thank you so much, Gigi, for that presentation.
Thank you. Take care.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.